If you've ever had a panic attack, you know how scary and frightening they can be. In this video, I'm going to be talking about what panic attacks are and how panic attacks become panic disorder. Hi everyone. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about panic attacks, what they are, some of the characteristics of panic attacks, and what differentiates panic attacks from panic disorder. But before I get into that, just a couple of disclaimers to go over. I'm a registered psychologist in the province of British Columbia, Canada, and this video is for informational purposes only. It is not intended as a replacement or substitute for advice from your doctor or mental health professional. If you've been enjoying my videos and would like to see more, please hit that subscribe button and notification bell, and you'll be alerted every Thursday when I post a new video. So with those things out of the way, let's talk about panic attacks. Now, panic attacks are actually fairly common. About a third of the population will have a panic attack every year. But for a lot of people who've never had a panic attack, it's hard to really understand what happens in a panic attack, and therefore a panic attack can be extremely frightening when it happens. At their core, panic attacks are a sudden rush of intense fear or anxiety or discomfort that can come totally out of the blue. At times when you're not expecting it, at times where there doesn't seem to be anything in particular that someone should be panicking about or be really anxious about. And so it's this surge of adrenaline, this surge of anxiety that can come totally out of the blue. And there are a number of physical sensations and symptoms that tend to be associated with a panic attack. So the most common of which tend to be things like my heart is racing, or it feels like my heart is pounding through my chest. People can experience hyperventilation, where it almost feels like they're short of breath. They can't get enough air. So no matter how quickly they're breathing, it's hard to get enough air in. People can experience muscle tension and shaking in their hands, uncontrollable shaking in their body. People can experience either hot flushes, where they get really hot and sweaty, and people can sometimes get totally drenched with sweat during a panic attack, or alternatively experience cold flushes, where they suddenly feel extremely cold on the surface of their skin. People can experience feelings of choking, almost like their throat is closing in and they can't swallow. Almost goes along with that sense of can't breathe. You can experience a sense of chest tightness, or it's almost like a client described it to me like an elephant sitting on their chest, like they just cannot get enough air and enough breathing because of just how tight and tense their chest is. People can experience stomach distress. So their stomach gets really upset. Either they feel really nauseous, or they can feel like they have to go to the bathroom really suddenly. So you have a lot of these physical sensations of anxiety that tend to happen in a panic attack. But people can also experience somewhat unusual sensations, which can be scary. And if you don't really know that these are common in a panic attack, it can be particularly scary when you have some of these sensations. And some of these refer to things like almost like feeling like your skin is crawling, or numbing or tingling sensations. And people will have that in their hands or across their face. People can also experience sensations that we call derealization or depersonalization. Now, derealization is this sensation that things around you don't seem real. It's almost like you're in a dreamlike state. Can be sort of blurred vision, or almost just feeling a little bit like you're walking around, but you feel detached from things that are going on around you. Depersonalization is a sensation in which you almost feel like you're outside of your body, like you're watching yourself from outside, like you're disconnected from being in you, and you're outside of you. So it's almost like I know I'm here, but I feel like I'm right here. And those can be really scary sensations for people, especially if they haven't ever experienced those sensations. And so you get this rush of these physical sensations, and so it's very common during a panic attack for people to tend to think sort of any of three groups of things. So one, people feel that they're dying. It's like, I'm having a heart attack, I'm having a stroke, and it becomes really, really scary or terrifying for a person because they feel like something bad is happening to them physically. People can also fear losing control. So I'm losing control of my body. So if I'm driving, I fear that I might lose control of my ability to control the steering wheel, and I'm going to crash if I have a panic attack while driving. It could also be a fear of losing control, like passing out, that I just totally lose control and my legs give way and I fall to the ground. People can also fear during a panic attack that they're going crazy, that they're losing their mind, and that they're going to go crazy and not be able to come back. And so their mind is going to go somewhere, and they're going to lose their mind, and that it's going to be permanent. So you can imagine if you have this sudden rush of intense fear or discomfort, these physical sensations just come out of the blue, and you're thinking to yourself, oh my God, I'm having a heart attack, or I'm having a stroke, or I'm going crazy, or I'm going to lose control and crash the car. You get a pretty good understanding and a pretty good sense of just how scary and upsetting these panic attacks can be. Now, as I mentioned before, panic attacks are not uncommon. Like I said, about a third of the population will have a panic attack every year. But just having a panic attack or just having panic attacks doesn't make it automatic that a person is experiencing panic disorder. So what panic disorder is when a person has recurring panic attacks. So they frequently have these panic attacks that come from out of the blue. So they can either be full-blown panic attacks with all of these physical sensations occurring all at the same time, like I talked about, or it can be what we call limited symptom panic attacks, where you only have like 2 or 3 of the symptoms occurring, but they come on really intensely and can be really kind of anxiety provoking or distressing. So in panic disorder, a person is having these panic attacks relatively frequently, and they're coming up a fair bit. Whereas for most people, most of that third of the population that has a panic attack every year, they have 1 or 2 panic attacks in the year. It's a very infrequent thing. Panic disorder, the panic attacks tend to be more frequent and occur more often. But the key issue with panic disorder, the key thing that determines whether panic attacks become panic disorder, isn't the frequency of the panic attacks. It's how a person interprets or thinks about the panic attacks and the implication of the panic attacks. So for people with panic disorder, they become very fearful of having further panic attacks. They worry a lot about when the next one might happen. So there's a lot of apprehension or anxiety about the anxiety of a panic attack. So it's almost like a person develops a phobia or a fear of having a panic attack. So a person with panic disorder is constantly aware, constantly thinking about when the next panic attack might occur. So it's almost like there's this time bomb that's inside the person, and it's set to random. And so they don't know when the next panic attack's going to occur, but they're constantly fearful of it, and they're constantly worrying about it. Now, another part of panic disorder is a sense of not just this apprehension, but also adjusting their lives. A person adjusts their lives because of the panic attacks. So a person may stop drinking coffee. A person may stop driving on the highway. They may stop engaging in exercise because it gets their heart rate going. So it's not just the implications of the panic attack that concerns a person, but it also leads to adjustments or changes in a person's life. And this is where panic disorder can become really disabling, because the areas that a person feels safe become smaller and smaller and smaller. And the areas of a person's life where they fear something bad could happen or a panic attack could be triggered gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So it's not uncommon when I'm working with clients who have panic disorder is that their lives have become very small. They treat themselves like they're China dolls, that they're very fragile. And so they'll avoid, or they'll try to avoid, anything that might trigger a panic attack. But even with that, they still experience these panic attacks, and that can be the really frustrating part. My world's getting smaller, but these panic attacks keep coming up. So that's panic disorder, and that's what panic attacks are. It's really common that I see a lot in a lot of clients who have been experiencing panic attacks or panic disorder for a while. It's not uncommon for people to show up in hospital emergency rooms because they fear that they're having a heart attack, and so they got to get to the hospital because if they don't, they could die. And if you think about that, if you're frequently feeling like there's something going on inside of you, that you're likely to die, or you're likely to lose control, or you're likely to go crazy, that can be a really scary thing. And it's particularly scary because it's not something in the outside world, it's something within you. And so I hope that helps give a little bit of a better understanding of panic attacks and panic disorder, and the difference between what happens with panic attacks versus what's happening with panic disorder. I'd love to hear your thoughts and ideas about this, so please leave me some comments down below and we can continue the discussion down there. So thank you for making it all the way to the end of this video, and I will see you in the next one.